Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Hack. You know, there was about a 2 or 3 week period during the Scalebreaker release where I just didn't feel like playing ESO much anymore. I think I was just feeling the general negativity surrounding the changes coming with the DLC, and it just kind of got to me after a while. I kind of lost my motivation to play and to create videos for this channel, and I even played other games. And I don't want to feed the negativity anymore. That's already been done up and down the forums. But I do have issues with the patch, just like everybody else. We've got this super powerful dot meta happening right now in the game. It's really affecting PvP, along with a lot of nerfed and just pretty much useless class abilities. Both of these just leading to boring, watered down, homogenized gameplay right now. But hey, at least we got multi-crafting, right? Anyway, I feel like ZeniMax gets it. They're posting more on the forums now, communicating better, trying to retain some of their hardcore fans, which is the right thing to do. So good for them. To go along with that, this week Brian Wheeler posted on the Combat forum explaining what happened basically during the Scalebreaker DLC balance changes, and also where the game is headed with the next update, update 24. So this is a bit of a preview of what's coming up next. Overall, I think it sounds pretty good, and I wanted to break it down for you guys right here, right now on the channel. So he starts off by saying, with update 24 rapidly approaching, we want to give everybody an idea of the changes in store for combat and abilities. There will, of course, be detailed patch notes with developer comments, but this post covers the broader themes from the update. So the combat changes in Update 24 are more narrow in focus than those we made with the ability audits in Update 22 and 23. Out of that audit came a few things laying under rocks for a while, which we are addressing in Update 24, mainly damage over time abilities. And we are also looking to address feedback regarding Wardens, Sorcerers, and Dragon Knights, specifically in the realm of identity. So from this, I think we can kind of see that one of the main updates coming next will be this refocus on class and class identity. Now, they've said this in the past, but they will only be focusing on some classes first, not every class, because that would most likely be too much for them to handle with just one patch. So for Update 24, they will be starting with balancing Wardens, Sorcerers, and Dragon Knights. I have to wonder kind of how they landed on those 3 classes first. I think it's probably because classes like the Stamina Sorcerer and Stamina Dragon Knight are very generic, and they lack kind of a lot of flavor. Mostly if you play those classes, you're stuck with generic abilities, weapon skills, that kind of thing. So it'll definitely be nice to see some updates in that regard. Next up, he addresses damage over time. So he says, in Update 23, we made changes to the overtime abilities to make them more competitive and aligned to numerical standards. This resulted in more variety builds compared to Update 22. However, it swung the pendulum a bit too far in the other direction. As we've stated before, our audit pass doesn't mean our numbers are engraved in stone, and this is a case where we missed the mark and are looking to correct that. In Update 24, we will be pulling back on the power of damage over time abilities, but not heal over times. This will rein in some of the damage we're seeing in PvP. Should not inhibit completion of trials, dungeons, arenas. We've also adjusted standards for area effect dots to once again do similar damage to single target, but with a much greater cost. So it seems like those single target dots specifically will be losing some power in Update 24, which is great. That's a great move in the right direction, but that's still a long ways away. And then AoE dots, so skills like Caltrops, Wall of Elements, Arrow Barrage, those are AoE damage over time. Those will also get rebuffed to higher damage, similar to what we saw before the Scalebreaker DLC dropped. So kind of one step forward, 2 steps back with these past 2 patches. I mean, dots are clearly the biggest oopsie, I guess you could say, of the entire patch, which is a pretty big deal when you think about it, because so many skills in this game are either damage over time or they at least have a dot component to them. But I do want to give props to ZeniMax here for noticing the mistake and trying to make a correction. I think that's good. It does show me that they care about their game, even if they maybe don't listen to players as much as they should. At least they're trying to bring back some balance, so I appreciate that. And just a quick side note on this comment that made me laugh. It was said that increasing dot damage improved the variety of build types in the game, but I think that's actually the opposite of what happened. When you have generic dot skills do the most damage in the game, what happens is players will just use those skills and nothing else. So like right now we have skills like Entropy and Soul Trap. Because players want to use the best abilities, they're going to drop their class unique skills and they're just going to slot Soul Trap and Entropy. So we don't have more variety now. With the super buff dots, we have every Magicka build using the same 2 dots, and they drop some of their class skills, which were more unique, just to do that extra damage more easily. So next he talked about class identity and using Necromancer as an example here. They say that the Necromancer has a very clear class identity. You've all expressed strong desires for other classes to get updates to match that identity. And we are listening. In Update 24, we're giving Dragon Knights, Wardens, and Sorcerers several updates to reinforce class identity and in some cases grant new gameplay options. We do plan on having a more in-depth pass at all classes in the future, but for now we want to make a few changes to abilities that didn't have enough function to their kit beyond this ability just does damage. So ultimately we want to make sure class abilities have good use cases and bring something extra. For example, Warden's dive ability was either Magicka or stamina based, and that was it. We're adding a secondary effect of putting enemies off balance. Okay, it's these types of adjustments we're looking to add to all classes to bring more identity and functionality. Okay, so I totally agree with him here, and the Warden skill that he brought up, dive, is a perfect example actually of what he's talking about, because in general Magicka builds in ESO have always had a more unique class identity and feel to them, and that's because there's always been this kind of lack of interesting stamina morphs in the game. That example is actually hilarious because it was talked about a lot. When was that? The Morrowind chapter, when Wardens came out. We thought it was pretty hilarious that there's this skill called dive. The Magicka morph gets increased damage the farther back you are, and the stamina morph gets nothing. Literally the tooltip said this morph now costs stamina, and that was the morph. And then last up he just talked about quality of life additions. So major and minor buffs will now display what they actually do instead of displaying their name. Sprint and mount speed are now handled more efficiently. Stamina bar will drain gradually instead of in chunks. They're lowering the cost of sprint, fixing bugs, and this is part of a larger effort to reduce the amount of information the ability system has to handle. Hopefully that fixes some of the lag issues as well. So, you know, I think this note here is a step in the right direction, and I'm glad that he posted this. You know, I think those of us that have been playing ESO for a long time play it because of classes and class diversity and classes that are fun and interesting to play. And so if they can finally focus in on that, if they can finally focus on their classes, making them fun, making them balanced, and making them interesting to play, then I think that will keep players like me playing the game for a long time. So I'm optimistic moving forward, even if we do have to deal with a bland, homogenized meta right now for the next few months. Hopefully they'll keep teasing some of the class changes coming up, and hopefully they're good. So that's about all I have to say about this post. But I'm curious what you guys think. Let me know in the comments section below. What did you think of Brian's post over on the Combat Forum? What do you think of the new meta, and are you looking forward to class updates in the future? And what updates do you think your class needs? I'm looking forward to hear from you guys. As always, if you like this video, don't forget to crush that like button. It really helps me out. And subscribe to the channel for more build videos and updates for the Elder Scrolls Online. And until then, I will see you guys around in the next video. Thanks.